Hello, Lord Mayo. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks very much.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And first of all, I want to say congratulations for you becoming the 8th female of the Lord Mayo here in Dublin. What
Thank
a
you.
wonderful job. Please a big round of applause for that, please. Thank you. Now, ma'am, can we talk about how is the role as a Lord Mayo of Dublin has changed since you became the 8th female Lord Mayo in Dublin?
Every Lord Mayor that gets elected brings changes because they have a different personality, a different perspective and probably different policies that they're trying to drive. But the difference is that it's 2009 since the last Lord Mayor was a female Lord Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have a lot of catching up to do because it's 346 Lord Mayors of Dublin and I'm the only 8th female. Wow. So it's good to have females in this position.
Good. And what has changed since you are the face of the Lord Mayor in terms of as a female since you were elected in June? So what has changed, or what other things have you done since the period you actually came into power?
Okay, when I was elected, the night I was elected, I made a speech, and in that speech I prioritised a few areas that I wanted to highlight, and one of them was one of the biggest problems we have in Dublin at the moment, and the biggest concern that I have and that people of Dublin have is housing, but particularly homelessness. It is a huge issue in Dublin, and I have promised that I will do all I can to ensure that we address that. And then the other thing that I said I would address, I was trying to make the Irish language more visible in this city.
True.
So that's a big difference because no other Lord Mayor has done that. And what I've done is I've set up what's called the Cush de Gaeilge, where we will drive forward policies and proposals within the council that will promote Irish, but I don't want to start translating everything. What I want to do is I want to see the Irish language more visible, to actually see it in the city, to hear it in the city.
That's true.
So it's all the children that actually go to school, Irish schools in Dublin, actually when they leave the school, that's not the end of it, that they will actually hear it. And there is a change in Dublin, I think, in Ireland at the moment. People are not as negative as they were to the language. And one of the other things I want to address as well is litter. Litter is a big issue, particularly here in the city.
True.
But one of the worst things in Dublin, and the issue that people raise with me a lot, is dog fouling. People absolutely hate it. There's nothing worse than stepping out of the house and the first thing you step into is somebody who didn't clean up after their dog. And it really gripes some people. If you go to a police and forum meeting, even if there's been a stabbing or a shooting, they still want to talk about dog fouling because it's a huge quality of life issue. So.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take in measures to address that.
Yeah, that's very, very important because if you go to a countryside, you get those people do walking with the dogs and all of that kind of thing. They do always have their bags with them. As soon as that happens, they just kind of clean it up to make sure that is done. That's a good job. And how would you see women more involved in politics? You being the 8th female to become the Lord Mayor of Dublin. I mean, for me, that is a huge gap. Why has that took so long for that to happen?
It's wrong that it's taken so long, but there's a thing called the gender quotas now. Gender quotas have been brought in. Now, if you'd have spoken to me 5-6 years ago, I wasn't really in favour of gender quotas. I could say, no, us women, we can get there on our own accord, we'll get there on our own ability. But since becoming Lord Mayor, I've been in and out of meetings to do, say, executives in Dublin City Council. I met with a minister and his team last week. I mean, I was the only woman in the room at some of these meetings, and that's when it's glaringly obvious, no, we need to do something. And there's 89 female candidates declared for the general election, which could be either the end of this year or next year. That's the highest ever. But it's still, if we continue at the pace we're at now, it'll take 250 years to have 50-50 representation in Leinster House. So we need to move at a quicker pace. And if the gender quotas that have been brought in now helps to address that, well, I'm in favour of it.
Right. And would that be, say, women don't really, is it kind of they're not more interested, or is just no room to encourage women to actually put themselves in some of these challenges? Or why is that?
In some ways, but in other ways, it's all to do with culture. Okay. It's to do with lack of confidence. It amazes me when it comes to confidence, that women just think, oh, and I'm speaking for myself because I'm one of those women that would have always said, I wouldn't be able for that. Oh no, oh God, don't, I can't do that. And only until you put yourself in and you realise, actually, I could do it. I can do it just as well as the rest of them. But it is. And then when it comes to women as well, when I became a counsellor, I had I had 2 children, and trying to balance family life and your politics and your role on the council was really difficult. So childcare is a big issue. You know, lack of confidence is a big issue, and until we bring in policies that you know, address those issues, or give women, or help women, you know, to give them the tools that make them more confident. Now, there's Women for Politics, which are doing a lot of work at the moment. But it's like, the constituency that I represent is the South West Inner City, and there's loads of residents groups, and there's loads of regeneration boards and community development projects who are really great projects and help on the ground and advocate for the people. Most of them are run by women, but those women don't see what they're doing as politics. They just say, oh, politics is something for men, you know, they don't have anything to do with it, because they see it sometimes as, oh, you get into that, it's all it is a power trip, and then you end up being corrupted. But they don't understand that what they are doing on the ground is what we need to bring into politics. That needs, that what they do, what they see, what they witness, their experiences in life, women's experiences, isn't reflected in the decisions that made by people in power, because they're mostly men.
That's true. And what would be the encouragement to women to be able to step it up? Because like what you said, they're doing these things, but not knowing how much they put into these things. They kind of look at it as, you know, a voluntarily kind of aspect, but reality, that is the real job. Politics is not written in the forehead. It's written by the way you're planning, and then you have to go ahead. So my question would be, what are the steps and the skills for them to be able to come out of their zone, to be looked at as part of the plan going on, as to the project they're working on?
To build up their confidence.
Yes, their confidence is part of that.
You have to build up their confidence. I mean, they had to build up my confidence. I mean, I think the Berlin Wall would have been easier to put up than to build up my confidence, because that's just the way I am. And not all women. Some women are, you know, don't need any confidence building at all. But I think it just comes from the fact that when you look at politics, and when you look at the ministers, when you look at the people who are making power, and the people in big positions around the world, they're men. So it looks like it's a closed, you know, it's a boys' club. It's a boys' club. So why do you want to put yourself in there? And you know, because there's a lot of sacrifices involved. It's not an easy role. I know people like to give out about politicians and say they're not worth, you know, the money that they get. But it's a big commitment to put yourself forward in politics, and to, you know, to put yourself before the people. And if you don't have that support, see, men who would put themselves forward usually would have a partner who, you know, would very much probably take on the role of, you know, minding children, or doing something, you know, taking on that role. So men, in a lot of, not in all cases, my brother-in-law's at TD, and he has to balance everything. But a lot of men don't have to have that, make those sacrifices to balance family life and a political career.
And would that be one of those things why women kind of say, if you're married, you have kids, you know, it kind of limits you for you to go beyond your own limit, because your family is there, or your husband's not a politician, but you want to become a politician? Would that be part of some of the reason why most women are unable to actually get themselves involved that much into politics?
It is, because it's the childcare issue again. It's confidence, and it's childcare, and it's culture, and it's also selection conventions. I mean, now, because of the gender quota that's brought in, you have 89 women already selected to stand in the general election. But that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a financial penalty for the political parties. If you don't have 30% women candidates, you lose your funding. So that was the only reason. It wasn't because these people all of a sudden saw, oh my God, you know, look, we need to have loads of women in politics. It came down to hard cash. But it will make a big difference if we have more women in politics.
Lord Mayo, thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you. Please, one more time. Thank you. Coming up on the show is another person, that David Young, one of Ireland comedian. We'll be right back after this. Thank you.